It is the month of June, June on the Range, where we read Westerns, and I have a review of a Western today. This is a review of Cormac McCarthy's All the Pretty Horses. As you can see, it won a National Book Award. This came out in 1992. And I did this as a buddy read with MJ. It's the first time that MJ and I have done a buddy read, and I thoroughly enjoyed that. So let's get into this review, get into my thoughts about Cormac McCarthy and All the Pretty Horses. Hello, my fellow readers. My name is Greg, and this is Ghost Readers in the Sky. This novel by Cormac McCarthy is about horses. Yes, there is an epic journey which leads to encounters with love, lies, and lawlessness. It is about Mexico in the 1940s. There are a lot of ideas about manliness and worth and duty. There are lessons about coming of age, but the only constant throughout this entire book is the horse. Or perhaps better yet, all the pretty horses. The narrative itself begins when the grandfather of 16-year-old John Grady Cole dies, and for reasons, Cole does not inherit the family ranch. And that's the only thing he's ever known. It's the only thing he ever wanted to do. And since he is not going to inherit the ranch, he convinces his best friend, Lacey Rollins, to leave. They're in San Angelo, Texas, and they choose to leave and go someplace that's not San Angelo. I don't want to talk too much about the plot because it's really easy to get into spoiler territory pretty quickly. So I want to talk more about the mood of the book and the way things are presented, because that's really more interesting than the plot anyway. So John Grady Cole is really based on that trope of the strong, silent type. You see that in so many Westerns. It has in so many ways become synonymous with the cowboy, even though that's not historically true by any means. So we have Cole, the strong, silent type. We put him up against Rollins, who is always ready to push the boundaries. And then there's a tag-along character named Jimmy Blevins. And he's one of these guys who think boundaries be damned. He doesn't care what the consequences are. He doesn't care if it goes to his detriment. So we're already set up for some potentially wild times. And wild things, often bad things, happen in McCarthy's world. But the more characters try to fight the world, the worse things get. It is a pretty bleak and desolate outlook. But that sure resonates with me. This book has action, it has violence, it has expressions of sexuality, but all of these are downplayed. John Grady does what he has to do to get by, to move forward, and he usually finds satisfaction in what he's doing. He's not out to change the world. And it seems like things go a little better when he's just plodding along, but still bad things happen, which may or may not be any fault of his own. I marked a lot of passages in this book as noteworthy. And as I was going through them, getting ready to present this review, I realized hardly any of them had to do with John Grady, our main character. We hear a lot about events and ideas from the other characters. But one of the few things we know about John Grady Cole is that he thinks a lot about horses. He dreams a lot about horses. His mindset is just extraordinarily practical. I wanted to read a couple passages that are from the viewpoint of these other characters as they're talking about things they've seen in their lives and things that are important to them. Usually talking to John Grady, but John Grady's listening and absorbing all of this. First, we're going to get a story from Luis. Luis is a cook for a ranch that John Grady and Rollins have signed on to, and they are up in the mountains gathering wild horses. So this is a story from Luis. Luis told them tales of the country and the people who lived in it and the people who died and how they died. He'd loved horses all his life, and he and his father and two brothers had fought in the cavalry, and his father and his brothers had died in the cavalry. But they all despised Victoriano Huerta above all other men, and the deeds of Huerta above all other visited evils. He said that war had destroyed the country, and that men believe the cure for war is war. He spoke of his campaigns in the deserts of Mexico, and he told them of horses killed under him, and he said that the souls of horses mirror the souls of men more closely than men suppose. Lastly, he said that he had seen the souls of horses and that it was a terrible thing to see. He said that it could be seen under certain circumstances attending the death of a horse because the horse shares a common soul and its separate life only forms it out of all horses and makes it mortal. He said that if a person understood the soul of the horse, he would understand all horses that ever were. Another passage here. John Grady is speaking to the matriarch of the ranch where he's working. This is the matriarch speaking. For me, the world has always been more of a puppet show. But when one looks behind the curtain and traces the strings upward, he finds they terminate in the hands of yet other puppets, themselves with their own strings, which trace upward in turn, and so on. In my own life, I saw these strings, whose origins were endless, enact the deaths of great men in violence and madness, enact the ruin of a nation. I will tell you how Mexico was. How it was and how it will be again. I think that readers who are most likely to enjoy this book are readers who enjoy Willa Cather with her slow-moving narratives of ordinary people. Maybe those who enjoy Dashiell Hammett with his hard-boiled characters that just keep going. Maybe those who enjoy Louis L'Amour with his well-paced and compact plots. I'd suggest it to anyone who likes Westerns, obviously, but also fans of historical fiction and literary fiction. I like this book very much. Thanks so much for being with me for this review of Cormac McCarthy's All the Pretty Horses. And I will be back throughout June on the Range with more reviews, more poetry, more thoughts about the Western and the American West. Till next time, my name is Greg, and this is Ghost Readers in the Sky.
Yippee!